this is a fun one that Google has actually been allowing advertisers to do for some time now, but it's really starting to gain some traction. And I think the biggest thing is it's making it Google's making it a little bit easier to do this. So next, we're going to talk about importing offline conversion. So Ashley, what's the difference between a general conversion that everyone's used to on Google Ads and what's an offline conversion, and why is that helpful?
Yeah, great question. So when we look at the accounts and we look at the platform, you're going to see a total number of leads. Maybe you have 100 leads in the last 7 days. Google thinks you're doing great. You've got a low cost per lead, but on your back end in your CRM, you're going to know exactly how well you did. What's the percentage of those 100 leads that turned into actual customers, clients, or really return on ad spend? So what we're looking to do here is with importing offline conversions is to give a feedback loop to Google with, it could be anything like you mentioned, Ben. It could be a marketing qualified lead. So at least it's a qualified lead. You're not just counting 100 leads. Maybe 80 of them were marketing qualified, 20 of them were spam. Maybe from marketing qualified, you move to sales qualified, and maybe it's an even smaller percentage where sales team says, okay, these are the ones we could actually work with, or we've created the first step in the sales cycle with. You can follow that all the way down the sales cycle and really give a feedback loop to Google of where you ended up getting dollars from and attribute those to the actual keyword and the client itself. Where did they come from? So Google can get a full picture of not just all of your leads and every lead counts the same, but really what is the emphasis and how can we better tailor these campaigns to really be bringing in the return on ad spend clients that you're looking for.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. I know you see this all the time across the accounts that you oversee is oftentimes with just general, let's say, conversion-based tracking, and maybe you have a website, you're driving leads for a certain service, and optimizing towards just a cost per lead, which is a cost per, let's say, website submission form, isn't really the best way. And some of the things that you see, Ashley, maybe you can expand on this, is sometimes those campaigns that maybe have the highest or the lowest cost per lead maybe aren't the best, and it's almost better to go after a little bit more expensive leads because the offline data is there and it actually shows they work pretty well.
Yeah, oftentimes I'll see Google favor a particular keyword within a campaign. And so I can see that this keyword is getting the majority of the traffic, the majority of the clicks, the majority of even the conversions. But if I have access to and I look into the client's back end, if I don't see any deals associated or I see a smaller percentage of deals associated with that keyword, I know that Google just thinks that this keyword is performing well, but there's not enough feedback to that particular, keyword coming back. So what we would do in that case is, working with offline conversion tracking would help you there. In the absence of offline conversion tracking, we would identify and pull out that keyword and probably maybe still spend on it, but truncate the spend and not allow Google to run rampant on a particular keyword just because Google thinks the metrics are good. So it's a really important feedback loop that Google doesn't just think that, oh, wow, you're doing well, you've got a 20% conversion rate. I've got clients who, might have a 20% conversion rate for some campaigns, but the conversion rate for the campaign that drives the most business might be 7%. So oftentimes what I see in the API is not as important to me as what I'm seeing in the client's back end. And if I see an overall drop in conversion rate because I know that I've put more budget into campaigns with a lower conversion rate, but knowing that those campaigns with a lower conversion rate are the ones that are bringing in the deals, I'm happy to see a conversion rate across the board go down, knowing that I'm funding the right campaigns and bringing, you'll see month over month a return on ad spend increase. So when you're looking at, overall back end information, you will see that return on ad spend increase despite what you might see in the platform itself.
Yeah. And it's so important, just as marketing and advertising on Google and other platforms is so algorithmically derived, you really need to give Google and the other platforms the right signals. So it's great to set up normal conversion tracking. That's way better than clicks. But if you can get Google intel that's closer to your real deals, it will try to find more of your qualified leads and customers. So Ashley, thanks for covering that. And just based off of the screenshot, for everyone who's watching right now, you can see there's a lot of ways that you can import. You can import through Google Analytics, obviously GA4, third-party analytics. I know HubSpot's got some really good integrations. You can even do manual import. But the first step is starting to track these leads and tie it to Google ad efforts. And then over time, you can start to import these to Google. And then last question, Ashley, before we go on to the next strategy is, once these conversions are imported, should we set that as the primary conversion event that Google should optimize to, or should we sit on it just for a little bit?
You want to keep it in a learning phase until you've got enough volume. So really what Google needs is information. Google needs data. We need to be feeding the algorithm enough data to make sure that we're not just truncating spend, right? Like if you're optimizing too soon towards your end result and you're getting maybe 1 or 2 closed deals, well, Google's not even going to know where to spend. The signals are so diminished. So really, we want to build up the learnings. We want to build up the signals and maybe start with a marketing qualified lead, right? That's a step up from just all leads. Then maybe you move to sales qualified. And then as you build up your pipeline, you might be able to move up into those further end categories. But absolutely, great question. You do not want to jump right into it. You want to make sure that Google gets the learnings and that you're not just hanging Google out to dry.
Awesome, cool.